Hello and welcome to your favorite show that features the brightest minds in Nigeria's creative industry. This is the Camera Lounge Season 2. It's proudly brought to you by Camera Joint, Nigeria's #1 camera store. I'm Kayode Alayande, your host. You have a chance to win a SONY A7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Mabike Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention the creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Mabike Productions. Don't miss it. Welcome back. Now, a professional photographer is expected to have a deep understanding of the technical aspects of their trade. But a master photographer has crystal clear understanding of why they are doing this. They can sell their products and services, and they produce excellent work. Our guest today on the show is a perfect example of a master photographer. Whether it's portrait photography, lifestyle, weddings, or even commercial photography, she deploys glamour, essence, and soul to ensure that she elevates the standards of her clients. And that's something about her that Sony found so adorable. She's now a Sony ambassador. Welcome with me to the Camera Lounge Season 2, the creative director of Poshclick, Lagos, Nigeria, Jokotade Shonowo. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So great to be here. I love your studio, the whites, the contrast, the flowers, the lights, everything just works.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
It was curated by an interior designer called Peridot and Pink.
It's obvious.
She's also my namesake. She's Jokotade.
So Jokotade works for Jokotade. Good.
Well, let's just say Jokotades have a good head on their shoulders.
That's deep. Thank you for that. Now, let's start. The essence of your work, or the themes of the work, or the spirit of your work is embedded under 3 pillars. You do glamour, you ensure that there is glamour. The people can have a sense of essence, and there is soul to what you do. Can you unpack that package for us?
Okay, so for me, I feel like there's much more to everyone that you see. And it's my personal purpose, or would I say vision, to help people unravel, the best side that there is to them. So, something that you don't know that exists within you. I want to be able to point it out to you, because that's it. That has been the trend, that has been the feedback that I've gotten over the years. And the glamour, essence, and soul that you have mentioned, those are words that people have used to describe how they feel about the work that I've produced for them. So they feel like they're on the cover of a magazine. I mean, an everyday woman or an everyday person feeling like they're the cover girl, meaning that they feel so glamorous with themselves, after the whole pampering, the makeup, the hair. And then, of course, for me, even though I'm simple by nature, I like a bit of muchness, if I may say.
A bit of glam.
Just a bit of glam, yeah. So a bit of glam, but subtle glam, right? So there has to be glamour in pretty much everything. So I just don't want it to fall flat. I always want it to, be that element of spark, that element of wow, that wow factor, yeah.
Good.
If you may say. And then also when it comes to soul, I feel like the eye of the individual is like the window into their soul.
Very much.
So,
like that.
So it's important for me to be able to capture emotion through your eyes. I love, or I prefer when I catch people in their actual states, either excited or reflective, or because there's some states that you can't pose people into. You just have to observe it.
That's true, and then take it,
catch it. So as a photographer, I always tell people around me that you need to be observant. You can't just think that, oh, I know so much about my gear, I know the technicalities, and not pay attention to the person that you're photographing.
Thank you for saying that, because, and that's one of the things that informed my intro, because technicality is one thing, but that which you bring to the table, which is being able to produce something in it and show a person, is very powerful. And when I discuss with creatives about these things, I want to go back in time to say their upbringing, their initial experiences, because it's something that produces that ability to be able to produce that in other people repeatedly. So for you, how did you come about that ability to produce that in your work?
Okay, so first thing I would say is what you're exposed to goes a long way in defining what your mind's eye sees or wants to project when you're working. So I always implore artists to, broaden your horizon, try to know what's going on, feed your eyes. You see an image you like, observe it, look at it keenly, and just say, okay, what do I like about this image? By doing so, you are feeding your subconscious such that when it's time to create in the long run, you do it effortlessly. Then you wonder, oh, where did that come from? Then later on, you remember, oh, I saw this in this magazine, or I saw this, when I went to this place, or I saw this in a particular location. So for me, in fact, and I'm going to cite an example to that experience as well. So earlier on when I started photography, I went for a lot of trainings, workshops, exhibitions. I went for Photokina in Dubai. I didn't know what I was going to do there. I didn't have so much money, but I heard there was Photokina in Dubai, and I gathered the money and I went.
A lot of Nigerians watching
this, just to see. In fact, literally, I think when I went to Dubai, then I must have had maybe just like $250 or $300, which was like next to nothing, but I could go to the conference because it was free. Somehow I covered my hotel, or I think maybe a cousin of mine was around in Dubai, so I maybe even perched or something funny.
Yeah.
So I went out of my way to broaden my horizon, which is pretty much just getting to know more. Okay, how is this thing being done in other continents in a bigger scale? Then aside that as well, in fact, I remember that when I went to the exhibition, the only thing I could afford then was a camera bag. For someone who only had one body and one lens, I really do understand why I needed a camera bag this big. But I just thought,
it's your subconscious telling you you're going to be big one day.
I guess so.
I mean,
so I still find it difficult to give that bag away, even though it's falling apart gradually.
Yes, it's part of your memory.
I have it in my cupboard somewhere at home, and I've just kept it there. And also, I went for another one because there are two like major conferences or like events that I've gone for, which is WPPI. That was in 2014. And with that one just blew me away completely because, here is this girl who is trying to venture into photography, who doesn't really know how to go about it because, you know, there is no clear roadmap. And I just thought, you know what, okay, so just learn. Because I studied microbiology in school.
Yeah,
And here I am trying to explore photography. And in my subconscious, there's excellence. I believe that in everything that I do, I need to be excellent. So I thought, okay, go for this, see how how other people do it, and then bring it back home and, you know, make it yours. So I did WPPI University, like started from the basics, went for every platform class I could attend, every show I could go to. I literally went for everything. After I was done, I just felt, oh my goodness, this is information overload. I don't even know how to do half of all these things. But you see, all of the things that I learned then did not start to manifest until 3 to 4 years later. And then I do something and I'm asking myself, like, how do you know how to do this? And then I remember, oh, XYZ did it in this class. You know, so I've come to realize that the experiences or the situations or circumstances that you expose yourself to are registered subconsciously. And then when you bring it out of your arsenal to start to use, you wonder, like, where is all this goodness coming from?
Wow.
Where is all of this genius coming from? Yeah.
Okay, and with my best friend, I'm sure you guys know already, my best friends are always the Sony cameras, and this is the A7R5, recently just dropped by Sony Alpha. It's a 60 megapixel camera, and you know my favorite thing about the Sony is the autofocus system. It has an improved autofocus recognition. You can actually save, you know, the subject's face on the camera, and then it follows through anywhere the subject goes through. Your focus is intact. You know, in terms of video, it has 8K at 24p and then it shoots 4K at 60p. The videos are amazing. I call it a hybrid master because you can actually use it for photography and video at the same time. It shoots 10-bit 422 video options and also includes S-Log3 and Cinetone. It's a very easy way of shooting and getting your images ready for your client. And then in terms of raw files, because I know you're going to be saying it's a 60 megapixels, in terms of raw files, you can actually reduce it and have 26 megapixels and also have 15 megapixels. My best friend is the Sony A7R5. In terms of technology, it's a great camera. In terms of build quality, it's amazing. Ergonomics is amazing. The way, you know, the grip is, it's quite very sturdy and all. Sony camera is my best option. I don't know about you.
It's amazing when people crisscross. No, it won't be crisscross in your case now. When people move from one end of the pendulum in terms of career to another end, talk about microbiology to photography, you understand, or medicine to photography, or things like that. You want to ask them, how did you go from here to here? What's the story?
I would say spontaneity. I'm a very spontaneous person by nature. In fact, I consider it as one of my superpowers. Only just recently. I mean, I used to think it was a bad thing before, but now I think it's a superpower to be spontaneous. I remember my sister had this analog camera where you had to put a film in it.
Okay.
And
the Kodaks and
yeah, exactly. You know, where you had to put the film in it and take pictures, and then you just take it. I literally took over the camera from her. In fact, it became mine. And then I remember also that when I entered uni, or when I got admission into university, there is no day that I will get into the school premise that I will not stop by the motion ground.
No day.
No day. Oh, okay, I exaggerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But like I have an album, like I told you.
Yes.
So I would go there. I love to dress up. Well, I used to like dressing up.
Yeah,
I still love to dress up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would go, make sure I mark my register at the, what's it called, motion ground. I think the photographer then I used to use was Mr. Magic or something. That was his name. So we'll go there, take pictures of myself, take pictures with my friends, you know, just creating memories, you know, and I enjoyed it genuinely, you know. So I saw myself doing that from pre-degree up until year 4 till I graduated.
So you must have a large portfolio
I do.
of pictures.
I do. You know, even though a lot of my friends stole a lot of my pictures, but I still have a full album, you know, of my pictures. So I've always loved photography. So I remember in my final year, I'm in uni, I bought the N81. It was like a Nokia phone. But I bought the N81 then. I'd always loved, you know, pictures. I mean, like I said, so I wanted a picture that when I heard about the phone, I was like, I need to get this phone camera that can give me
good
really
pictures.
Lovely pictures. So I got it, and of course, I went on a spree. I went loco. Take everything I see, my friends, myself, you know, and then I took it a step further. When I now go home, I will now print it on paper and bring it back. If I like you, I'll do full A4 paper for you. If I like you small, I'll do like I can print maybe like 8 on one paper and then cut it up and give to you. So something like a keepsake. So, you know, I did stuff like that, and it just came to me naturally, you know, to do it. In fact, I found myself at some point editing some of those pictures, you know, you change it to sepia, you do some artworks on it.
I think there were about like 8 options or something like that. Yeah.
And then there were some that you had like some clip arts. Like you could add maybe like a graduation cap. And you know, I was so excited about it that I would print out all those pictures. I was doing it genuinely. You know, it wasn't something that was forced or anyone coerced me into doing any of it. And then I also remembered that in final year, I took it upon myself to create memories with all my friends. So around that period was when it dawned on me that I actually love photography, and this is how it happened. It was after fellowship in school on a Thursday, so we have Thursday showers. I used to attend Spring of Life Fellowship, the Student Arm of Fountain of Life Fellowship, you know, and at the end of Thursday showers that day, we went to a friend's house like we usually do, you know, to just gist and stuff. And the conversation came about that, oh, we should always have something else to fall back on aside, you know,
the
pursuing
expected career path.
Yeah, the expected career path. And I was just like, no, what do you mean by that? Like, why did I come to school? Like, I mean, of course I'm going that way. I'm going to, you know, do my MBA and then work in a consulting firm. Like, you know, I had it all planned out.
Correct.
Literally that's what I'm going to do. You know, the conversation moves on to something else, and I handed someone my phone, and she was looking at all the pictures, because like I told you, I take a lot of pictures. So I had like 1,000 plus pictures on my phone. And by the time she scrolled through all the pictures on the phone, she finally said, oh my goodness, Joko, do you know I'm just finishing with all the pictures on your phone now? You have so many pictures, about 1,500. I was like, what? It was at that point I realized that I really loved taking pictures. And I told her, like, hold on. What you guys were talking about earlier, I think I love photography. That was the light bulb moment for me.
Interesting story. So then, how did the business of photography crystallize for you?
Okay. So I think I would say that crystallized that came about from having challenges that needed to be solved, and also requiring a lot more precision and order for my personal life, which meant I had to put a lot more intention into how I work. So of course, when I started, I was working from my home, from my room. Even when I had my first assistant, she was working from my dining table in my house.
Yeah.
Right?
Days of little beginnings, right?
Yeah, and there was no office. And for me, it was just a case of just trying to solve a problem and also trying to appear professional. Remember, I told you that in anything that I do, I like it to be I like it to have excellence in it. I don't like to do mediocre things, right? So it was important for me to try and put a bit of order. In 2010 or so, still at church, like I would say, my story is really pretty much tied, to church. So there was this Sunday that I went to church. Usually I'll be with my friends, Kofo and Tosin, and we'll be chatting away. We'll sit next to each other in church, and by the time they're doing announcements, we'll probably be chatting and they will not listen to the announcements. But this time, I went to church alone. I sat by myself, and the announcement was made about an opportunity to get a scholarship to learn how to run an entrepreneurship venture. So I went back to the back office, got the details, I filled in, all the form and all of that. And I went for the interview, and to my surprise, I got in, so I think that was also another, window that opened my mind to how a business venture is run, So I got that scholarship to study, to get a certificate in entrepreneurship at Pan Atlantic University, the Enterprise Development Center. It was fully paid by the government, and it was good. It was a good experience. It wasn't just the scholarship that I got from Enterprise Development Center. It was the facility, the structure.
It was the whole package.
It was the whole package. Like, it literally opened my mind to the possibilities that there are. In fact, it was my first time also lecturing, because, immediately I got there, they just feel like there's just this spirit in that environment that you can be more, you can do more. So don't see your idea as something intangible, because I think like that's the mistake that a lot of businesses make, that, oh, but this thing is just so fickle, it's inconsequential, like it's not of importance. But guess what? You see that little thing, you can make a big idea and a big business out of it. It all depends on perspective. So they told me, well, we have a postgraduate class, you're a photographer, we need somebody to teach them the basics of photography, and we know you can do it. Because while I was there too, I made it a point of duty to always take my camera to class. So while we're in class, I take little snippets. And at the end, when we graduated, I made a photo book for the school. And automatically, that made me their official photographer for like the next 4 to 5 years.
You know what? We'll take a short break. Now, when we come back, these experiences have shaped you, and they've reflected so much in the growth of your business and also in the way you do business. When we come back after this break, she'll be talking to us about how to build a photography business.
You have a chance to win a Sony A7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Mabike Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention a creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Mabike Productions. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Camera Lounge Season 2, and I have been speaking with Jokotade Shonowo, who is the creative director at Poshclick, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. Now, when you look at the landscape today, we have a lot of photographers who are very good in their craft, but they are broke. What's the gap?
Okay, this is a this is a conversation that happens a lot,
Yes.
Between photographers, and all I'll just say is, it's simple, right? If you don't have an option, you're going to take anything anyone brings to your table, and that makes you vulnerable and desperate. And if that's the only thing you have going for you, then you're going to be caught in that web. And here is what I always suggest to people, right? Always find yourself, or always plan to find yourself in a space where you are not so desperate. Because when you get to that point where you need to start commanding what is due to you, there's going to be resistance. People are not fools. They're not just going to say, oh, welcome, welcome, and take. No, that's not it. You're going to have to prove yourself. You know, even if you're talented, regardless of how talented you are, people are always going to push back and say, no, what do you mean? You that you have been collecting 2 kobo, why do you wake up one morning and tell me you want to collect 100 naira? Are you kidding me?
So you're saying people must find options or ensure that they are not.
I think that I'm a realist, and I like to put things in perspective. You see, I don't like to create scenarios that are not real. We live in a real world here, right?
Yeah.
So, and here's what I'm saying. When I started photography, I was still getting an allowance from home.
I see.
So, which is why I'm telling you, I had something to fall back on. I didn't have rent to pay. I was working from my room at home. I didn't have to pay rent. Do you understand all of these things? So, which means that I didn't have to feed myself off what I was planning or looking to earn, which made it easier to be able to make certain decisions.
Yes, and let certain things go.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about someone who perhaps ran away from their village and came to Lagos and said, no matter what, I'm going to make it here. We have a lot of them in this industry who perhaps they were not able to make it to school, go to college, but they just have to make something of it. How do they begin?
It's very easy. Learn with someone. Go and everybody needs help. We all need people. Regardless of the industry you find yourself, people are needed. So find a place. In fact, that's one of the things I wish I did earlier. I wish I actually went, to understudy and learn from someone. It would have shortened my journey a whole lot. Doing it on my own, trying to figure it out, trying to crack all the codes on your own, it was tough. It was daunting. But it's doable, like you said, but you have to find a way to go into the industry. You learn, because of course there are people who have done that successfully. You understudy someone, learn for a period of time, and at the same time, you wouldn't be working for free. You are going to be remunerated. So over time, you can save and then start your own thing.
There have been several times in your business that you've had to make changes. Now, can you share with us some of the critical steps you've had to make or decisions you've had to make in your business that resulted in growth over time?
I would say it's the grace of God, because even leaving to the first office that we ever had, which was like a shared office with someone else, it was my cousin who said, oh, but you have one staff. Okay, you know what? Come to my office. Let her start working from my office.
Wow.
Do you see? Yes, he's my cousin, but he didn't have to.
Absolutely.
Do you understand me? And that's what I mean by grace. So he told me, oh, you come on over. I have project managers that work in my office. Come and use one of the rooms. So I got, and that prompted me to now get an iMac, right? Because now I know that, okay, we have a home to stay in. So I bought an iMac, we put it there, and that's why she used to resume at. At that time, all I used to use all the money for was to invest in gear. I invested in gear a lot. So for every job that I did back then, what I learned at Enterprise Development Center, there's something called the depreciation value of your equipment.
Absolutely.
Right? So for every job that I do, I make sure that I take out that money and save it for every job. So immediately it gets to a certain amount and I need to buy a particular gear, I just buy it. And and that was how I built up my arsenal, of gear. And then from there, I got another space in Yaba. In fact, when I got that space, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is becoming real. Now I'm renting. How would I get rent to pay? Oh my goodness. Because before, my first fear was after I hired someone, how will I pay salary?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because it was me before, and I was being taken care of at home. They were not chasing me.
Good.
Do you see? So if I get a job, if I don't get a job,
correct.
Like so generally I'm a carefree, happy-go-lucky girl. So like things don't faze me. Right? So if I'm the only one, if I don't find, I'm okay. I won't die. I won't suffer. Do you understand me? But when I had to take one more person on, And I realized, oh my goodness, you're responsible for a human being. She expects to get paid after at the end of the month. So I became a lot more intentional. Okay, now I need to make sure that I'm able to meet this person's expectation every month. And that was the drive. So now it was now moving up one step to, now I now need to make sure that I'm able to pay rent. And this is me fresh out of school. Like, why? Who sent you? Why are you trying to, get yourself into all of this responsibility? But I mean, it had to be done. Then from there, my sister, who I told when I got my light bulb for photography, she sells fabrics. I just had my son then, and she told me that, there's this space that I got. There's a space underneath me that I think would suit you. Come on board.
And it's closer home.
Yes. But I was scared. I was like, no, I can't come. My rent here is 500.
In Yaba?
In Yaba. I could easily pay that. It was my comfort zone. So I was scared. I was like, you want me to come all the way to VI? Like, why? Like, do you want people to ridicule me? Like, I don't want to come to VI and then go back to Yaba.
That would be ridiculous.
The move happened. It was when that move happened and I pressed my calculator and saw what the rent was going to be. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, this is it. So at that point, it wasn't a case of who sent me anymore. It was now a challenge. Also, I'm a very competitive person, right? I like challenges to say that, okay, you are a problem. I'm going to see the end of you.
Yeah.
So it was at that point I said, okay, now it's time to put, I braced up. I'm like, it's time to put pen to paper. Before I was just doing anyhow, higi haga, give this price today. If you say half price, I say, okay, you can have it. I mean, when you don't have any worries. But now the game was becoming realer. Like, girl, you have to do this and you have to do it well. So I had to put pen to paper. Okay, so what do I need to earn to be able to float this place?
Correct.
And at the time, I think we're like 4 on the team, plus me, 5 on the team. I had 4 people who were working with me at the time.
What year was that?
This was 2017.
Good.
Yeah, we moved 2017. And, I just thought, okay, I need to be able to pay these salaries consistently and then be able to, even the salary, how much was I paying them? Like, it was next, but at least we could afford it. So it was a case of, now you're trying to heap up more responsibilities on yourself. So, like I said, I put pen to paper and just looked at my pricing and tweaked it. There are things I had learned a long time ago. You know how you learn things and then you're just lackadaisical about it. You're not putting it into action. Yeah. It was at that time I said, okay, oh boy, it's time. Let's do this. So I wrote everything down, typed it out. And of course, I was met with resistance, a lot of resistance. People were like, what do you mean? People don't do this in Lagos. Do you think you're in America?
So tell us about your first big project.
A couple. So I've had a big gig before that, which was in weddings. So in 2013, I shot a wedding which literally put me on the wedding map, literally. In 2013, in Njideka's wedding. And that for me was like, after that wedding, a lot of people were calling. So for me, I think that's like one of my biggest highlights, if I have to think about it, the very first one. Like people were calling, oh, you did this, okay, nice, please, I want you to shoot my wedding, so for me, I think that was like my biggest, break into the industry, pretty much, because I'll say that wedding literally put our name on the map. On the map. Yeah, and then when it comes to portrait, I'd say that there's one person that I shot. In fact, before I get there, let me finish with the pricing as well. So after I restructured my pricing, and then I realized the method I was going to deploy, and I had to tell myself the hard truth. So you see, if you want to go this route, it's important that you're able to give people the reason why they need to spend this much with you, or why they're even interested in you at all in the first place. I mean, like, what are you offering me that is different that I want to come and pay this for? Because truth be told, you're not using a system that is easily recognized by us in this climb. So why do you want me to patronize you? So for me, it was a case of I had to go the extra mile. I had to do something different. I had to do something that they loved and they know that they can only get from me.
So what were those things?
I'll just say it was just the way I shot based on the way I saw it at the time. And then being someone who's also chubby, a little plus size, I understand the struggles of a voluptuous woman. I know the things that she wants to see. I know the things that she wants to hide. I know,
I see.
I understand it,
So there was a connection.
So there was a connection, and I particularly loved, photographing women. And I think that also stemmed from my exposure to Sue Bryce, right? Consuming her material, seeing how she photographed everyday women, making them look like, models, like superstars. One portrait that stands out for me in that space that we did was one of my egbons, Auntie Yetunde. She's dark, and I photographed. If I do say so myself, I photographed her beautifully.
Correct.
Like even till date, I still love the pictures, and everyone seeing those pictures were like, wait, hold up. You mean you can do this? So do you see, this is where, like I always say, whatever you do is an exchange of value, you see?
True.
It's not really about price, because the fact that somebody doesn't want to pay you a certain amount that you're asking for does not mean they cannot afford it. It means that they don't think
They've not
you are
seen the
worth
value.
that value. No, they just don't think you are worth the value that you're asking for. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might think you are worth it, but if somebody else doesn't see that value in you, they're not going to pay that amount.
When we come back after the break, we will find out from her how you can make them see the value in you that they need to see. That'll be after the break. Don't go away.
You have a chance to win a Sony A7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Mabike Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention the creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Mabike Productions. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Camera Lounge Season 2, and I've been speaking with Jokotade Shonowo, who is the creative director of Poshclick, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. And before the break, you were talking about being able to communicate the value that your work represents to a client. Now, apparently, not everyone is able to do it. Now, is there a science to it? How are you able to communicate value to your clients?
I would say it's one of the easiest things to do.
Really?
Value is pretty much someone seeing what it is that you do and taking interest in it and wanting it for themselves, right? That's what it simply is. So if I see something and I feel like this thing is so good, I want to have it at all costs, then at that point, I would not mind the expense. I will not mind the costs. I will just pay for it. Why? Because I want it. So I would also say value is psychological, right? Because it's not when you place it on a pedestal, you can't measure it. It's not measurable, right? It depends on how the other person perceives it. So it's a perception, So how are you able to make them perceive what it is that you do and value it so much that they want it badly for themselves? So now you take that, do your homework, and come back. So it's not, value also can't be forced. You can't force the value you think that you're worth on somebody else.
You just have to be value.
Exactly. So consistently improve on yourself, the way you deploy your materials, the way you deploy, even your craft, your skill, and then people will now look at it, evaluate it to the best of their own ability, and then they will be their own judge to say, okay, I think this person is worth it. Oh, I don't think this person is worth it. It's all just noise. Like, what do you mean? Like, like I told you that experience in the beginning. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you offering that you think we should, pay this for? So the onus is now on you to go back and do your assignments and start to intentionally create, right? Because you need to understand what the problem you want to solve is before you go back and do your homework and then solve the problem. If you don't know what it is you're trying to solve, if you don't know that it's psychological and you think it's by power or by creativity, you've lost it. Because if you do not speak their language, there are a lot of things embedded in it. People's language. Are you paying attention to what they like? Are you paying attention to the things that make them excited? These are little things that would help you as a creative to study people. In fact, I always say now that if I knew earlier on in school, I would have studied psychology or sociology. Because I believe that if you're able to crack the code of people, you win in every situation. So trust me, it's value is not something, you can't impress it on other people. If they don't see the value in you, they don't see the value in you. And that's about that. Your own value that you see in yourself is your own perception. And you might be delusional. Do you see?
Correct.
You might be delusional about the value that you're offering to people. Whereas people are seeing something different and you think you're something else.
So you are the Sony, you're a Sony ambassador, Sony Alpha ambassador. How did that happen? How did they see the value? What's the backstory?
Like I say again, my story is based around Grace. I think I got to know about Sony Alpha through Jide Odukoya.
Oh, I see.
So, he's always been he's been in Sony. He moved on to Sony a while back, and he just used to rave and go on and on about it. And Jide is my G now. So, there was one day I just thought, oh, okay, let me even see what this thing can do. And when he showed me all the things, I was like, So I started getting curious as to, what the cameras can do. So I think in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, they came into Nigeria, newly, and they searched online to see that the different photographers that they could work with across all genres, and they reached out, and when they reached out, I was like, I was already leaning towards that side already. And then when they reached out, I said, oh, why not? And then they were magnanimous enough to give me a gear to try out for about 3 weeks. I shot with the A7R3, for the first time, an outdoor kids party, and I was just blown away by the colors, the white balance with natural light. I mean, I was blown away. So that was it for me, and I just thought, okay, you know what, I'm definitely copying a Sony gear. And I did after that. And it was, after that they came on again and said, oh, would I like to create content for them? And I mean, it's fair that I'd always wanted to go to, because it's important to also give back, because I see it as giving back.
Yes.
And I agree to that, and it's been a beautiful journey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there was a question I wanted to ask you. There was a time you were working with a set of twins.
Okay.
What was it about them? And have you continued to work with them ever since?
So here is my spontaneity again at play. Remember I told you in the beginning that I'm a spontaneous person. So here I am on Instagram scrolling. I see somebody I know, and I was just like, oh my goodness, she has adorable kids. I think it was on their birthday or so. I then saw pictures of them, and I was upset. I was upset that how do you photograph beautiful children like this in this manner, so carelessly, like without trying to maintain and retain their actual beauty and showcasing that beauty in the photographs. Like, you can't do that to these children. And then I just sent a message to the mom. What's up? How are you doing? I would like to photograph your kids. I mean, we knew each other anyway, but it wasn't a case of, I was just upset that the picture that was taken of them was not nice and it wasn't communicating their actual value. You see where I'm coming from now. So for me, I feel like there's like, everyone has like inner beauty, you see? And I feel like people around them see it. If you as a photographer, you're not able to capture that in a person and even amplify it a lot more, then you have not done a good job. And I'm not trying to say now that make them look like a doll or no. I want to be able to see that photo and say, oh my goodness, this is so gorgeous. This is so priced. This is so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh, adorable. My ovaries. Do you see? You know, so those are the kind of, you know, when you see a cute baby, and maybe a baby that are like 3 to 6 months, when their chubbiness is coming full to, you know, fully. And then you'll be like, oh my God, this is such an adorable baby. That is the reaction I want to get from the photos. So that is what drives me when I'm creating. Like, I want to capture that authenticness. I want to capture the soul that resides inside of you. And of course, a bit of glam to make it amplify it. I believe in amplifying, not like total...
Yeah. So there are two sides to this for you. What happens in your mind when you're creating that?
Yes.
And the equipment that you use to do this.
Oh, it's very, very important.
Yeah. So let's see some of the equipment. Let's see what's in your bag.
Okay. Drum roll.
Let's see what's in the house.
So,
wow.
Here.
Wow.
We have the SONY A7IV paired with the 50mm G Master f1.2.
F1.2.
Yes.
This is a demon, if I can use that word. F1.2.
I know. I really, really love this. And it's actually a lens I've wanted for a very long time. And I was finally really, really happy when I finally copped it from Sony.
How did you feel the first time that you used it?
What I'll say is, because I like to shoot shallow and soft, right? So for me, it was just a case of, oh my goodness, I'm going to go
gaga with this.
Yeah, so I was shooting at 1.2. I mean, I really don't mind if it's not sharp, but as long as the part, maybe the separation is there. Or maybe the eye is sharp enough, every other place can be thrown out of focus for all I care. Yeah, but I really, really do love it. And I love the fact that even with the Sony, there's a way I'm able to make it shoot at 85 or like close to like 80 mm as well, you know. So most times I'm able to stick with it and able to use it at different focal lengths.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's why I like it's like 2-in-1.
So I'd like to know which is your favorite though, but let's continue.
Okay. So I also have here the 24 to 70. This is a lens that I've always...
That's the wedding photographer's lens.
Yes, the wedding photographer. Even in the studio sometimes, it comes in really handy. Especially when you don't have a lot of assistants, you know, or you're photographing like a fast-paced shoot that you don't really have that time to start changing lenses, because changing lenses can be a task. Yeah. You know, because you pause, you hold on and change it.
And sometimes
and then you just want to capture the things on a whim. Exactly. Yes. So, but the only thing is that sometimes, you know, there's just that precision of the prime. But I must tell you that this is also really, really, really sharp. Like, and that's why for some time, I actually started shooting because I wanted to see what it could do. And I started using it for a while, you know, in the studio. And I actually really liked the outcome. Just that it doesn't give me as much compression that I get with like telephotos. Yeah, and I love compressions a lot. But besides that...
But here's the guy who should give you that.
Yes. So I would even go to this lens. I'm not going to that yet. Yeah. So here is the 135 mm. So when I need compression, this is my go-to guy.
What?
F1.8.
F1.8.
Yeah.
That's decent.
135 mm G Master. Love it. Love. In fact, there's a relationship between this lens and I.
There's a connection.
It's special.
Good.
Yeah. Really special. Like, hi, babe. How you doing?
And this real solid investment. I mean, It's really cool.
And it's worth every bit of investment you put into it, I must say. It's worth it.
Good.
It will give you the returns by all means.
So let's see, what's the next one we have in there?
This is the 85mm.
F1.4. F1.4.
85mm is a sweet spot.
Good. So you have the F1.2, you have F1.4, you have one F1.8. That's good.
And the 24 to 70 is 2.8, F2.8.
It's F2.8.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
great.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So let's go to the big boy there.
And then this dude right here, 70 to 200.
How long have you been using
G Master.
this?
Just with the Sony one newly. I've used it in other brands.
All right.
And then the next one would be the Sony ZV-E10. I particularly like this camera because, you know, like you can go unnoticed with it.
True,
and when you need to record videos, I mean, you record 4K videos, and just the ease of use, like
ergonomics.
Yes. So for instance, I want to record content for myself. All I just need to do is turn the screen, put it on a tripod, and I record away. See?
All right.
Or I'm on a trip, I want to take a picture of myself. Click, 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 click. So
Good,
if you're looking to blog, this is the camera for you. And another good thing is if you're a Sony user already, what you can do is the lens is also detachable. So when you take it out, you can easily replace any of all these other lenses.
Oh, so these big guys can also go on it.
Yes, they can. See?
Wow.
So,
can I see that?
this is the ZV-E10 with the 135mm on it. See? Sniper! Cha 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 cha.
Good. Can I hold it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a glass on it. So just imagine.
Wow, this is good. All right, so let's take a look at some of the pictures that you've taken over the years. I mean, that you consider favorites. I can see one on the screen right now. The lady in pink. Tell us about this picture.
I feel like this picture pretty much describes what I'm all about. It's simple, it's timeless,
Agree.
it's glamorous, and it reveals her essence and soul.
Good.
You know, pretty much. I love the fact that, you know, the color palette is monotone. I love the fact that, you know, it's simple, but at the same time, it's stunning.
And strong.
And yes, you know, so like a mixture of all of those things, like it's like the ideal
Yes,
picture.
I like the energies going on there, and that's
exactly.
another one.
And then something else I really, really love to infuse into my pictures is movement, motion. I was so happy, you know, getting that. It was one of my favorite images from that body of work. So
Good.
I really, really love it.
All right, so let's see the next
And
one.
I mean, it also helps that she's my sister, whom I love. And that's that my sister I've been talking about all along, by the way.
I see.
Yes,
I
so.
see. I see, good. Here's another one.
So this particular image is one that happened by chance, right? I never ever planned to levitate with a client, right?
Okay.
And
so how did it happen?
Okay, so we're in the middle of a shoot. She brought in great energy, you know, and it was going on so well. All of a sudden, I noticed that she had stamina. And then I'd been reading up on levitation, you know, and, you know, how to make it happen and whatnot. And then I just suggested it to her. And she ran with it. She was like, okay. I was just like, sis, there's something I want to try out with you. Are you game? She was like, never mind. I can do this. And then we set everything up, and then
boom.
Boom.
It happened.
Effortlessly it happened.
Looks
and
perfect.
You know, it's one of the pictures that I really, really and truly like.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here is Game of Thrones theme. How did this happen?
So this is a picture with the twins that you mentioned earlier, and their sister and brother, right? And an extra, and that extra also, he used to be on the team.
So
right?
whose idea was this? This is so.
So this is the idea of their mom, right?
I see.
So she always comes up like with the most interesting scenarios or interesting projects, and then once she shares it with me, it's a case of, okay, let's do this, because for me, I like challenges, like I told you, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. I've never done something like this before, so let's do it. And to add to it that I've actually never watched Game of Thrones before. And
Wow.
yeah.
And you were able to create this.
Yeah, I believe that when you have a great team, you can make anything happen. Yeah, she was very clear with her conception.
The brief was clear.
The idea, so executing it wasn't a challenge, and I was so happy, because we brought all the elements in together. It was a lot of work, a lot of resource pooling at her end,
Apparently.
and then just understanding what the final output was. I'm so glad, I was given I was given this picture, because I'll say this picture was given to me.
This is so beautiful.
Literally.
This is so beautiful. And I like this orange, reddish
orange
tone. I love it.
So this is one of my clients, Shola Bomi. We did birthday portraits of her when she turned 40. And this was the last look. And interestingly enough, when we were like styling, when I saw the dress actually, I was like, what is this? But in the end, the stylist kept on saying, oh, like, this is nice, like you like it. But by the time we finished the turban, and then we added some other elements, spontaneously we decided to add the smoke. Everything just worked out together.
Wow.
And it just became a masterpiece. And this is one of my favorite images. So
great,
good.
great. Congratulations. I mean, these are impressive set of pictures or images.
Thank you so much.
Well done, well done. What an amazing time it has been talking to you. Jokotade Shonowo. She is the creative director here at Poshclick, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. I'm sure you've seen her works before, and I'm sure you learned a thing or two about how to do creative, great photography business here in Nigeria or wherever it is you are in the world. The principles are the same. Thank you very much, Jokotade, for having us in your studio.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. On the Camera Lounge Season 2. I'm Kayode Alayande. Thank you so much for watching, and bye now.
You have a chance to win a Sony A7IV camera with a 28 to 70mm kit lens in the Camera Lounge Season 2. Here's all you have to do. Subscribe to the Camera Joint and Mabike Productions YouTube channels. Leave a comment describing what you learned from each episode. Mention the creative icon you'd like interviewed on the show. Camera Joint will announce a winner at a Raffle Draw Live event in June 2023. The Camera Lounge, powered by Camera Joint, supported by Sony Alpha Nigeria, and produced by Mabike Productions. Don't miss it. Okay, and with my best friend, I'm sure you guys know already, my best friends are always the Sony cameras, and this is the A7R5, recently just dropped by Sony Alpha. It's a 60 megapixel camera, and my favorite thing about the Sony is the autofocus system. It has an improved autofocus recognition. You can actually save the subject's face on the camera, and then it follows through anywhere the subject goes through. Your focus is intact. In terms of video, it has 8K at 24p, and then it shoots 4K at 60p. The videos are amazing. I call it a hybrid master because you can actually use it for photography and video at the same time. It shoots 10-bit 422 video options and also includes S-Log 3 and Cinetone. It's a very easy way of shooting and getting your images ready for your client. And then in terms of raw files, because I know you're going to be saying it's a 60 megapixels, in terms of raw files, you can actually reduce it and have 26 megapixels and also have 15 megapixels. My best friend is the Sony A7R5. In terms of technology, it's a great camera. In terms of build quality, it's amazing. Ergonomics is amazing. The way the grip is, it's quite very sturdy and all. Sony camera is my best option. I don't know about you.